Hey guys, welcome back to another Gaming Memories video. Here we're actually taking a look at a game by the name of Super Technic Challenge that was actually released in Japan only on the PlayStation 1 back in 1996 and was published by MediaQuest. The game is an arcade style racer, but it actually focuses more on drift style racing compared to other similar arcade games, more likes of Ridge Racer and the like, that was also released on the PlayStation back during the early period of the system. As with a lot of these games that were released in Japan on the PlayStation during the mid-90s, there's actually very little information out there that can actually be found. You pretty much just have to actually get access to the game and play it for yourself to give yourself an overall opinion of what you think the game would be like. The game consists of different modes and championships and so forth, with the like of competing to be able to win events so that you can unlock other features, cars, other tracks and progress through the overall campaign. The game does use a mixture of arcade elements but also utilises very specific drift mechanics that would be similar to the likes of other arcade games, mainly the likes of Ridge Racer. But this game, compared to Ridge Racer, even though Ridge Racer is more well known, the drifting mechanics in Ridge Racer are a lot easier to implement than compared to this game. This game is definitely more simulation focused. It can definitely take a while to actually get familiar with the controls and the drift mechanic system in the game, because unlike Ridge Racer, whereas Ridge Racer is very fast paced, the pace in this game isn't as fast, so it can actually be a bit more fiddly to try and understand the overall feel of the game and how the controls seem to work. So through a lot of the different types of races, you actually have the likes of drift events where you actually have to drift around certain sections. When you're on certain portions of the track, you actually are tasked with just getting from one end to the other, but then when you get to the corners, you enter in a section where you're tasked to gain as many points through your drifting style as much as you can, and the more points you rack up, the more chances you actually have of gaining higher rankings throughout the race to eventually win the race. So it's not a case of coming first as such with the likes of the drift events through normal racing. You don't actually have to physically be ahead of your opponent to be able to win. It all caters towards the point system and how much points you can actually accumulate in a given time period. There are other game modes likes of time trial and even other modes where you do actually have to race against another opponent, and you are rewarded based off the amount of distance that you can get ahead of your opponent. So the further you can get ahead in the quickest time, and if you can reach a certain amount of distance within a time period, you will automatically win the race. So you could actually win races without even having to complete a full lap. Now the game itself is good, but it can be fiddly, like I mentioned, like with the terms of the controls and so forth when you compare it to other style games. There's very few racing games, even with games in Japan, that really implement and really nail down the drift mechanics. There's a number of games, Ridge Racer being one of them, there's Initial D, and there's also the likes of Side by Side that do implement really good drift style mechanics in the game, and they're easy to implement. This here game is not as easy to pick up and play and to implement those type of elements into it compared to those other games as I mentioned. Graphically, for the time, with it being back in late 1996 when this game was released, the graphics in the game were actually quite decent. There is a bit of a draw distance where certain elements of the map would only pop up as you get close to it, and this kind of was an issue with games back at that point, where you would get a lot of this clipping happening, and sometimes it could actually put you off throughout the races because you couldn't really see what was actually coming up until you were almost on top of it. So sometimes that could influence how you play the game. It is a challenging game to play, but it's definitely something that is unique for its time, even though it does have a lot of other competitors and probably some other better games that are out there. But it's definitely worth a try if you're into something that is a little bit different. It does have its own unique quirks, but it also does have its own unique kind of issues and flaws as well. But if you're willing to overcome them, there is actually a good solid challenge here for someone that is a bit more patient with these type of games. You will definitely get something out of it. Now, even though the language is in Japanese, you can still get around the options and so forth very easily throughout the course of the game. So it doesn't really hamper the experience as such as to get into the races. But if you're looking for something a little bit different and you want to experience more of these type of games that focus on the likes of drift style events that were released on the PlayStation 1, there's no harm actually trying this out and seeing what you think for yourself. And I'd love to know what your thoughts are of this game, if you've actually played it yourself, or did you even know that it even existed? And if so, what did you actually think of it? Did you enjoy it, or did you maybe not find it as easy to pick up and play? Be sure to share it down in the comments below. So if you have enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more videos like this where I do provide other reviews and gameplay videos of other similar style racing games that were released only in Japan, then make sure to leave a like in the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and again hit that bell icon to be updated whenever future videos are released. And also be sure to check out some of the other videos on the channel where I have provided other similar style of videos where I do share my thoughts and experiences with everyone. So as always, make sure to keep playing those classic games and enjoying them, and keep those gaming memories alive.